Where were we?
Fuck knows.
Oh,
Kids.
I was talking about the grocery store stuff.
That's right.
So when
Are we going to cut all that out?
Yes.
Okay, good.
But not this part where we're asking if we're going to cut all that out. And this is only on 2 glasses.
I don't even think it's been 2 glasses.
No, it really has. We're working on the second.
Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on that extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nikki.
And welcome to Working Mom's Wine, where we drink a bottle of wine.
And whine about our crazy, busy, stressful working mom lives. And hopefully, if we can, if it's an appropriate topic, we offer some resources to help ourselves and you.
That's right.
Through the stress. This one's yummy.
Oh, I like this one, yeah. So this is Prophecy.
Ooh. And
The
look
star.
at the pretty picture because it's the whole reason I grabbed this bottle. There we go. Yeah.
Such a pretty lady.
Just a pretty picture. I like when there's nice artwork on the front. It always draws my eye to it. And then I'm like, ooh. Let's try that one.
I'm that way about wines and books.
Yeah.
Like if it's got good cover art, I'm going to give it a try. Oh,
very true.
It's a Pinot Grigio from California. And it says their inspiration comes from the beauty of the harvest, and the premier vineyards are individually selected to bear each of the varietal's defining characteristics. Prophecy Pinot Grigio showcases aromas of light citrus, tropical fruit, complemented by delicate florals. And he's so pretty.
And it's a white wine, so you drink it chilled, which is great because it is
so hot
outside. Hotter than hate.
So today we are going to whine about kid birthday parties. Because they suck.
They do. And there's, when your kids just go to school, there's a million of them, and you get invites to all of them, and then you feel bad when you don't go to all of them.
Yes.
And that has been my trap this year is, Ari's first year of school and getting a million invites. And, I took her to the very first one. And then I had her dad take her to one for her crush.
Mm-hmm. Can't skip that one.
2 or 3 more have come in since then, and we didn't go to those for various reasons. We had other stuff. I didn't want to go to every single birthday party on the planet. And you're living on a budget, like buying all these birthday presents isn't cheap. And,
right.
I think the most awkward part for me is like Ari's at an age where you stay and hang out, and I don't know any of these people.
Yes.
And I stayed for the first birthday party, and people were very kind, but it felt super awkward to me, and it was like a couple hours of awkwardness, and
right.
I'm just not a outgoing person, so it felt very strange to me.
Yeah, it can be weird. And then, sometimes you don't know whether you're supposed to stay or not, or you'll be the one hosting the party, and it's like, do I have to tell the adults I'd like them to stay and I don't want to watch their kids by myself the whole time? Or do I, I think there was one that asked, and I was like, you can do whichever you want, because I'm not going to tell you you have to stay, but
also I don't want to watch 30 kids by myself, so.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate that my child's birthday is during the summer, not the school year. So even though she has all these new friends, I don't have the contact information for all of them. So even if I wanted to, I could not invite 20 children. But she does have the contact of some of her, closest friends. And I have their parents because we went to their birthday party, or I sent Ari on the last day of school with a little piece of paper that had her Facebook Kids Messenger code on it and said Ari wants to keep in contact over the summer, and a couple kids hit her up on that. So
nice.
we'll be able to send out the invite to a few friends, but not an overwhelming amount for me by the time we add in grandparents and cousins and
Yeah.
and all the adults my co-parent will probably bring.
He does bring a weird amount of adults with him.
You know, it's normal to them. It's strange to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like the kids' party, kids come and maybe their parents, depending on how young they are, and that's it. But you know, his adult friends are what he would consider family.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense.
So, you know, he wants them involved, and that's cool. And last year I insisted we have our own parties because I was really tired of planning, paying for, and pulling off a party for his adult friends, basically. Which isn't really the whole, I mean, my family comes, their kids come, but you know,
yeah,
it's a lot to coordinate and to make sure
especially if you're
the information
doing food
and paying for everything.
Yeah.
Like, even though we had the party at my mom's house and used her pool, like we grilled, we had food, we had drinks, you know, and then so I wanted to break from that, and I was toying with the idea of setting up the precedence that we don't do her birthday together, because I was in a place where I didn't want to be doing holidays and things together at all. And my therapist talked me through it, and she was like, you got to do what feels right to you, and that's what felt right to me that year. So we did separate things, and I thought it was going to be great, and then I got guilt tripped into going to his thing anyway. So I had to do it anyway. So I thought this year, like, might as well plan the big shebang and let whoever wants to show up, show up. So that's what we're doing. This year we're doing a rental at a park. We rent a little pavilion with a little grill, you know.
Yeah,
and
I think that's going to be a good idea.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it'll be a good chance for them to run around and let out some energy. And she wants a dragon theme. So I bought these really cute little foam half-face dragon masks that the kids can put on and run around the playground in. It's going to be cute. That theme came out of nowhere for me, though. I didn't. Dragons? Okay.
Like, why are you into that
care
now?
About dragons.
It can be one level of annoying to have to be like, okay, I want to have my kid go to this party and enjoy themselves, but like maybe the date is wrong, or, you know, for whatever reason you can't go. And then you're like, well, if we don't go to this birthday party, are we not going to get invited to any of the birthday parties in the future? Am I ruining their friendship, whatever? Right. And then it's a whole other level when you're the one holding the party and you have to think about all that stuff. Or like, we have some people in our lives, bless them, that just want to hang out forever and ever. And so even if I put like this party's from this time to this time, chances are some of the adults that came over are not going to be leaving at that time. And I'm not talking about family. That's different. Like, if a family member travels from out of town to hang out at the party, okay.
Yeah, because they're staying at your house, so it's like...
Exactly. But
they kind of have to be there the whole time.
There have been other people where it's just like...
Okay, good night.
Right. Or like the kids, like someone drops a kid off and the kid is there for a lot longer. Or there's one parent that we have had to make sure they were still coming to get their child. And I'm just like, oh no.
You didn't know it, but you were adopting another kid at that birthday party.
That's kind of why we started doing some of them at home, because, like, well, for one thing, it's super convenient for the neighbors who is...
Heck yeah.
Yeah, like they're like right there, and then they can come over.
With kids around the same age as your kids,
and it's like not fun. A big deal if like we want to have a bigger or a shorter time frame. Like, sometimes the parties will be a couple of hours, sometimes they're longer. The neighbors are like saints because they have had like 6-hour parties before, and I don't always go over there because like sometimes I'm messing with Jack, and I'm like, no way would I tell people, you just let me have your kids for 6 hours, it'll be great. Like, they're super patient. I love it.
God bless y'all.
But it's like, it's convenient for them, it's convenient for family that's staying over, and it's convenient for one of the kids that is very often not picked up on time because they live close enough that they can just bike to our house from there.
Oh.
So it's very convenient. I think too we can get very wrapped up in I have to have a birthday party that is special and unique, and there has to be party favors for everyone, and I have to spend a lot of money on it. And like a whole keeping up with the Joneses, if anyone still knows what that phrase means, mentality.
We're
And
not old.
one of the things that I started to realize was you really don't. Like, you can just. I mean, I like to cook and make unique foods, so that's kind of fun anyway. But like, you can set out sandwiches and chips and soda, and the kids will be perfectly happy. You don't have to have like all these crazy foods, or like you can make a homemade cake and they're going to love that just like they would love a sheet cake or a cake from the bakery. So
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I get way too into that. I think it can also be really awkward to figure out how you're going to invite kids to parties, because unless you're inviting the entire classroom,
Yeah.
you can't be like, hey, teacher, can you put these notes in these kids' backpacks?
And select children's backpacks.
Right. And
Yeah,
then
that would be mean.
then you
But
go,
then you're like, okay, if I'm not mean, I have to invite 30 children.
right.
Like,
Or
that's
say,
expensive.
here, 6-year-old, make sure these get to the specific friends you told me you wanted to invite. And then it doesn't. They go to like a few kids, and then your 6-year-old comes back and says, I forgot about this, 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 and this person. And you're like, come on, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, I mean, maybe it's because I have 4 kids, but the thought of spending a couple of hours with double that or more.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And I told myself when the kids were younger, I was like, here's what we're going to do. Because I always know how I'm going to do things. And it's always going to go totally to plan.
Of course.
We're going to have these really fun birthday parties when they're younger. And then when they get older, we'll just be like, why don't you have 1 or 2 friends over, and it can just be you and your friends, and they can spend the night. And I will say, last year or this past spring, whatever, that is what we did for Lucas. He had a couple friends over. They spent the night. They played video games and watched TV. And I'm trying to like continue that, basically.
Yeah.
But it does become a thing of like, oh, well, we go out and do a birthday party, and then we start doing birthday parties at home to save money, and then you don't really save any money because of all the money you spend on other things.
Right.
Although I will say this last time, I think staying at home is still saving money, even if you spend a couple $100, because I used to be able to go out to a few places for a $250 to $300. And when I was looking for Lucas, everything was going to be $400.
Oh no.
So
I'm glad I booked the park this year.
Yeah.
That was going to be my other options, doing another like arcade kind of birthday.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like, you can do that, and like people can spread out if they want. You don't have to cook. Like, you could bring in a platter of Subway sandwiches or something, or we could assemble sandwiches.
Yeah.
I'll volunteer myself. I'll say we.
I'm just going to go ahead and right now volunteer your husband to grill for this birthday party.
Actually, I think he would really like that, because I keep saying we're going to replace our grill, and we haven't done it yet, and I think he misses it.
I figure between him and Grandpa, and if Dan comes, somebody will grill. But
I guarantee you they will. As long as we keep supplying him and Dan with beers. Maybe
That's
Dan.
the other thing. I can't decide what to do about that. So,
and that is fair.
So many adults coming to the birthday party. In the past, we've had Ari's parties at places where there wasn't alcohol served.
Right.
Until last year or 2 years ago when we did the party at my mom's house.
Yeah.
And Dan asked, is it okay if, my sister's coming and some of my friends and me and, his girlfriend, can we bring drinks? And I said, I don't think my parents would have a problem with that as long as nobody is getting plastered, and acting a fool.
Yeah.
But, definitely not something we want to set out in the normal cooler.
Right.
And they were very respectful. They brought their cooler in their car, and they would just go out to the car and grab something and come back in. And it was fine. But now I'm thinking, okay, so we're going to the park. Are there rules about that there? I don't even know. Now Ari's bringing friends from school.
Yeah.
what message is that going to send? Are there going to be people offended by that or not
Right.
offended by it?
Because you don't know all the parents.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I don't want to upset anybody or expose anybody's kid to something that they're not ready to talk about to them yet.
Mm-hmm.
But also, adults are adults and they're going to do their thing. And if you're into controlling the aspects of what your kid's exposed to yet or not, which, I mean, parents should be. Don't get me wrong, I am. But, you should be there and stay and then remove yourself from the situation if needed. But it's a sticky line. It's a sticky line to walk.
I will be very surprised, given that it's a park, though, if they don't stay.
Yeah.
Like, we had one of Silas's friends that they did it up at, I almost said the name of it. One of Silas's friends had a birthday party at a park, and all of the parents stayed. So I think something about that environment does encourage, do you need more?
Yeah.
Does encourage parents to stay.
That's true, because it's a public open space, and the space we're renting is a covered pavilion that has, I think it says like 13 tables or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm never going to use all that space, but there's plenty of space for people to just sit and like play on their phones and watch their kids and do what they want to do, Yeah. Hopefully, maybe I'll get to know a few of them better this time. I feel like I know Jackson's mom.
Yeah.
Because
she'll hang out.
Yeah, we talked at a party that we went to one of the kids' classroom parties things, and we both stayed the whole time. And of course, we had to talk because our children are just in love with each other. So
they're gonna get married.
Future in-laws, we have to get to know each other,
right?
But it was really cute, and then it made me feel a lot better when they went on their field trip. They went to a big public place downtown in our city, which was making me very nervous.
Right.
But she was one of the chaperones and was particularly Ari's chaperone, which made me feel really solid because I know her, I've met her, and I have her phone number.
Yeah.
It just comforted my poor first-time mommy worrywart heart. So I'm never coming at judgment with the parents that control so many aspects of what their children are exposed to, because I'm the queen of that. Do not get me wrong. I am the queen of that. But it also, I think, makes me a little extra hyper vigilant to what people might or might not be offended by. And then I go to the extreme trying to please everybody like I always do. And I worry about silly things that probably no one else will think about.
Yeah.
So it makes the birthday parties just that much more anxiety inducing.
Yeah. And you never know, too, if there's someone who, like, can't be around alcohol.
Yeah.
So there's also that to consider.
Definitely. As a therapist, that is always something that goes through my mind. Like,
right.
Is a kid's birthday party at a park a place where you expect to run into that? And not that you can create that environment for everybody all the time, but, it's always better when you know that's coming or not coming when you've been in that situation.
And if you knew... Like, if you, as the person throwing the party, knew that someone was coming where you already knew it was a struggle, you would go out of your way to make sure that wasn't going to be there.
Yeah.
So, it's having it as an unknown. Yeah. But it's also like drinking socially is very popular, especially with a lot of parents these days.
And we're going to be outside in the heat in the summer. Like, it's
perfect time for a great beer.
For cold beer.
And that's coming from someone who doesn't drink beer.
I don't drink beer.
There is really something, though, about a nice beer on a super hot day. Like,
I'll agree.
It could not have alcohol in it, and I would just be like, yes. And normally I'm like, if there's not alcohol in it, what's the point,
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if Bud Light Lime had a non-alcoholic version, I would be 100% okay with drinking that during the summer. Just because I love how it tastes. And those summer shandies.
Oh, God, those are so good.
Mm-hmm.
When I drink beer, it's always the lime, the summer shandy, or, we're in Missouri, so Bud Select.
True. Speaking of doing things, maybe I'll put this in, but I do focus groups for a little side money. Moms, it's a great way to make side money, and you don't always have to take a pill to do it.
Sometimes, many times, you have to drive strange places.
Sometimes, like this time, and that's why I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm not just a helicopter parent. I'm a helicopter Self.
Group participant.
Yeah. So a lot of the ones I've done recently have been virtual for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But this one is in person. And the last time I did one in person for this group, it was in a place very close to where I work, and I knew the area, and I was fine with it. But this one is downtown. And I was like, I looked up the building, and it looks like someone painted over a car garage from the outside.
Fancy.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so it's super downtown, and this building looks a little shisty. How badly do I want $150?
Is it worth it?
But I did some more research today, and it is like a company known for doing these kinds of studies and things. And in the past, it was a building for a car garage. And like when you look at pictures of the inside, it looks more like an office building. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just tell people, hey, if I'm not back by 12:30, you know I've been kidnapped. I do this too.
You're definitely going to have to edit this without him listening.
No, I think this part should stay in because I do this to my poor husband all the time. Oh. So here's what I will usually, on accident, do. I am the queen of setting up a Target drive-up order and then not thinking that I'm not going to be able to go do it, and then Brandon has to go do it. And
it's your toxic trait.
I haven't set it up right. That's my red flag, you guys. I have not set up, like, had him put the Target app on his account and like set things up so that he can just check himself in. So I'm always like, just tell me when you get there and tell me what spot you're in and I'll tell them. And then it never fails. I am not paying attention to my phone when he actually gets there. And like 5 minutes later, he's like, what's going on here? They're
taking too long.
Right. So,
like, oops, no, they're not.
They must be busy. I definitely told them what spot you were in.
I'm the problem, it's me.
Yep. So today, after we record this, we're all going to do a nacho table. And if you guys haven't ever done that in your life, you totally should. And you should do it a lot, like once a week.
Google it.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
And it's super easy cleanup if you do the Reynolds wrap over the table. Best thing ever. Mm-hmm. I will say, if you have picky kids, just do what we do. Lay out the nachos and the meat if you're doing meat. I don't think we even put the cheese on it. We put all the salsas and things to the side, like, and the toppings.
To the side.
Yeah. And one time we did like half of it we put the stuff on and half of it we didn't. And then you can still, like, once you take your stuff over to where you're sitting, pour whatever you want, topping it with whatever you want. Mm-hmm. But all of that to say, I knew that my husband was dropping off one of my kids to camp, and the camp was near our grocery store. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll set it up so that he can pick it up. Mm-hmm. I have another story after this. This is all going to be Amanda's stories today. So usually it could be either one of us picking up at this grocery store. And I will put the name of whoever's actually picking up, mm-hmm. because I did actually use like his email to set up an account because I got locked out of mine. So he gets all the emails and things like that.
Okay.
And you can tell them every time this is the name and the phone number of the person picking up. So I remembered to change it to his name. I left it as my phone number. And I had already hit the button, and this is not a user-friendly thing. Like, for instance, when they were out of a couple of things, they told me what they were going to replace it with, and I could not say, can you replace it with whatever instead? It was like I had to say yes, or like we weren't going to get the item.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I'm a dummy. I forgot to change the phone number. I'm getting the notifications instead of you. Just tell me, and I'll tell them the spot.
Yeah.
And, of course, I missed it again because we're doing this. But only by a couple of minutes.
Sorry.
Yeah. But when I got the regular groceries... Okay, I'm going to back up a second.
Okay.
Our grocery store did not have, unless you used Instacart, did not have grocery pickup, even though this is a grocery store that normally does. And I think it's because it was a smaller one. Like, it didn't have, this is one of the ones that has a gas station attached to them. It didn't have that. You couldn't do the pickup. They didn't have, like, everything in place. So they recently got the gas station added on, and that's also when they started the pickup lane. So I made one pickup order, and the thing I like about that is with Instacart, you're paying fees. The items are always more expensive than they are in store. So while Instacart is convenient, between that and the fees and whatever, even if you do pickup, it's often like not in my budget. Now they have the grocery pickup. I can go in there. I can still use the coupons. I can get it for store prices. And it's worked out really well for the most part. Every time that I order 2 pizzas, they only give me 1 for some reason. And I got an extra bag of chips this last time too. So I was like, okay, I'm not mad. But it's like random weird things will happen like that. Or up until
when I do Walmart pickup.
Yeah, well, and they have...
I'll get like 1 bag of somebody's craft supplies or something weird.
Yeah. But lately they did this thing where you buy 1 Rockstar, you get 1 free. And I'm like, okay, for that, yes, we will have some Rockstars here and there. And one week they gave me 1. And I'm like, where's my free Rockstar? I wouldn't have paid $2.79 for just 1 of them. So like random stuff like that will happen. And up until recently, you couldn't, if they were out, they would just be like, sorry, we're out. And they wouldn't like suggest something.
We don't need booze to have a good time.
Exactly. So with the grocery pickup.
Yeah.
I did it one time because we had to.
Okay.
And Brandon was the one who actually went to do the pickup. And he's like, Jack is going to hate this, but I want to do this from now on. And I'm like, yeah, because he likes, going into the store, saying hi to everybody. But it is like a hassle and a half to take even one kid through a grocery store.
It is.
So most of the time when we do it, Jack's in the car with me. Like I've been doing it a lot lately just because I will do it on a different day than we used to. Mm-hmm. And so Brandon's at work and it's just more convenient for me to do it. But as long as he gets to say hi to the person coming out to the car, he hasn't thrown a big fit about it. And I have another cute story I can tell later. But when I went to do the last grocery pickup, I was getting everything ordered, and they were out of chocolate milk. And Jack is obsessed with chocolate milk right now.
Be out of chocolate milk.
So Brandon goes, well, maybe you can get a half gallon. Nope. Looked at the half gallons. They were out too.
What about the little individual?
I didn't look at those, to be fair. But
that's what I got this time because I only have the 1 kid and she is so rarely asking
I should look into that next time. Just get like a couple of Nesquiks to hold them over. Yeah. But when I knew we were going to do the nacho table and that I was going to send him for an extra pickup, they had more chocolate milk. And so when he picked it up, he said, I told Jack you got chocolate milk. And then Jack goes, what? Nice, Mom. So now he has his chocolate milk.
Oh God.
So the other thing that made me think of is we're just going to learn all about Jack today. This is not whining about Jack.
We're whining about birthday parties, children, and grocery shopping.
Right.
That's what this is. That's what it's become.
So we go to a local gas station, and there is a lady there. We'll call her Laura. And he likes to, she pays a lot of attention to him. She'll give him a free snack. And then we always like to support the gas station too. They have really good sandwiches. This guy just decided to start making sandwiches.
Is it the one here on the corner or is it the big one?
It's the one on the corner. So if you ever go in there.
We almost stopped today because we were a little early. But then I was like,
right by the register, they have this case and he puts cheeseburgers and Phillies and Euros and a couple other things in there. Even the cheeseburger, it is a plain cheeseburger. And I don't know what he does to the bun, but the bun is it's got to be a brioche bun to begin with, but it's so good. It's so good. So we'll always go and get, Brandon and I will pick up a sandwich and then we'll let we'll let Jack pick out a snack. And then the lady is always talking to him and having a good time with him. And she'll give him usually there's some Fig Newtons on the counter or something. And she'll be like, here, take or Reese's or whatever. And she'll give him a couple of those. And I felt like Brandon and Jack were the ones that usually went. And that's how I found out about Laura, because he'd be like, oh, Jack loves Laura and this and that and whatever. And she's this grandma aged lady. And it's really cute how much of a bond her and Jack have now. But the first time that I went and she gave him multiple packages, I was like, I know they're writing these off and now I feel bad that she's just throwing the stuff at him. But at the same time, we buy from them. So I'm maybe I shouldn't. But it's just like one of his favorite things to do. And I'm like, as long as we can keep that going, I don't think he will care that we don't go into the grocery store, because he still gets to see Laura,
Yeah.
who on Sunday he told us was his girlfriend. And I was like, we should totally tell her that you said that, because that's hilarious.
That's cute.
Yeah. And Brandon's like, I don't think he thinks about it like a real girlfriend. And I'm like, obviously, but like, that's hilarious that like, yeah, it's my friend that's a girl, and now it's my girlfriend. Like, she'll get a huge kick out of that.
She will. That'll make her feel special, which is always nice. You can give somebody that warm, fuzzy feeling.
That's right. Hey, I can hear people are home. I know we need to get the nacho table started. So we're going to sign off. As always, thanks for joining us. You can find us on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok. Am I leaving anything out? I don't think so. Patreon, patreon.com/workingmomswine, workingmomswine.com. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.